Thank you very much, Mark, for this incredible presentation. The first and probably the last time of my life that I would be compared to Picasso, but it's really worthwhile. Do you want me to speak English or French? French, okay. German, too much.
In the second part of my speech, I'm going to share with you some comments in this field. So first, 3 anecdotes. 2 of them are very personal, and the third one is quite short. The first one took place 30 years ago already. I was at the Mount Sinai in Jerusalem, a place you know very well. I was there with my son, who was at that time 6 or 7 years of age. And in front of this Mount Sion, we were in front of the cenacle, where the last scene of the Christ before he was arrested took place. So we were upstairs, and then we went downstairs to look at the tomb of King David. And there we had a group of South American pilgrims, very eloquent. They were talking very much, very loudly. And around that time, we also had people who were praying. It was very deeply emotional. And my son, age 6 or 7, told me, but what are they doing and what is this place? And I told him, well, there above you had Christian people, and here you had Jewish people. Jewish people here, and there we had Christian people. It was the last dinner of Jesus Christ. And then my son asked me, but what is the difference between Christian and Jewish people? I told him Christians believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and Jewish don't believe the same. And tell me, who is right? That's what my son asked. And I had a lot of trouble in answering. I have to be open and fair, so I told him it's very difficult to know. It's very difficult to know. And when I was saying it's very difficult to answer, I listened someone behind me telling me, "You are right, sir." And he told me so in French, "Very soon we will know." And I was looking around and seeing no one. So I thought, okay, I'm hit by the syndrome of Jerusalem. This is, this time in your life where everything can change. And finally, looking behind me, I saw a young Haredi man, was a Chassid, and he was standing there. I didn't know he could speak French, but he was speaking French, and he was of an Algerian origin. And I will tell you later why I referred to this anecdote. The second one took place in the United States, in Plymouth, where the pilgrims arrived first, the founding fathers of the United States. And you have there something which is quite extraordinary. You have actors, and they are playing the role of the pilgrims. They speak the same language, and they do as if it were the 17th century. People talk with them, and there was someone there talking with the actors, and he told them, well, you are Puritans, because we know that pilgrims were Puritans. There are no Catholic people in your village. And he said, Papists. Why do you want us to have Papists here? He said, but no, it's a mistake. They are in the error, in the lies. So there is no reason for us to have Papists here. Then there is a third anecdote. We have a group of Jewish people 15 years ago, and they met the cardinal from Courtrai in Paris. For those of you who know him, it was a very crucial man in the dialogue between the Jewish and the other religions. And he said a sentence which is one of the most beautiful sentences I ever heard. He said, because you are Jewish people, you have to be true Jewish people. Because if you are true Jewish people, it helps me to be a true Catholic person. So these three anecdotes refer to three different behaviors as to life and the meaning you give to life. First anecdote, we have this young man, this Hasid, who was a fundamentalist, but he knew where history was going. He knew what the meaning of life was. His life had a very clear meaning, a very well-organized meaning. The second one, the Puritan, was probably also a fundamentalist. But anyway, he decided to have no contact, no relation with those who don't think like him. The world is black or white, and those who know the truth cannot communicate with the others, with those who live in lies and who don't know about the truth. Then the third example, referring to the Cardinal de Courtrai, is the example which is a source of hope and inspiration. It shows that in this very difficult time where people are looking for meaning, this road, or the road followed by one person, can at one moment in time cross the road of someone else. Both roads can cross and can finally move together. And it's necessary to make some efforts to follow those roads and to try to find a point of crossing and encountering. This gathering, it's the first time for me to attend such a gathering. It's a sign that we have, all of us, that we have to make efforts to join, to move together. And this is why I would like to congratulate the organizers of this meeting. This being said, I also think all of us, we have some endeavors and commitments. We have duties, the duty of brotherhood, but also the duty to be reasonable. Such gatherings are beautiful, are nice, but unfortunately, if you take religious traditions and the way in which they are experienced by many believers, it's not the third way which is favored the most. I would even say more. I would even say that, of course, very often we are happy with the fact that the majority of believers of a faith, Islam or the Jewish religion or the Catholic religion, let's say Islam, most of the people want to live in peace. And this is also true for the other religions. But we should not forget something which is very essential to me. If you take the 21st century, the century we just moved away from, well, this 21st century was hit very badly, was under the attack of religious and non-religious movements by secular religions, i.e. the Marxism and the Nazi movement. Well, all these movements which share the disadvantages of the different religions, but without producing the spiritual advantages of religions. Such secular movements led to many sufferings and crime. I'm not going to enter into the details here, but what we should never forget is that in 1917, the Bolsheviks or the Nazi people in 25, 27, 29, well, all these movements, or even Al-Qaeda in the next century, Bolsheviks or Nazi just represented a very small minority, a very extreme, a very fanatic and violent minority for which people were not afraid to die for. And this is why we should not be happy with the fact that the majority of people is a peaceful, peace-minded majority. Because as the chairman of the council, Herman van Rompuy, said in a sentence that Rabbi Schneier said he would use, and this is why I'm going to do it before, he said we need to foster the revolution of the moderate people. This is what we need. Because what we are experiencing here, these interfaith gatherings, is not merely the fact that we meet other people. No, it's a meeting of brotherhood, people who are at the same side, people who have to fight against extremism, people who fight against a certain trend of Islam, which is a very radical, a very violent Islam, whereas you are here to tell us that Islam is a religion of peace, of brotherhood. But you have people aiming at promoting another type of religious leadership. And they're going to use the political strength, they're going to use propaganda and psychology of different individuals within those groups just to promote and reinforce their ideas. And altogether, we have to fight against this trend. We have to explain to our states and leaders that the values, which are our own values, which were at the very basis of this civilization, which falls apart and led to this horror that was the Shoah. But this civilization, which before was the Enlightenment civilization of opening and human rights, well, we have to make sure that our heads of states and governments in Europe, states with different habits, different traditions, we have to tell people that those values are endangered and that we cannot close our eyes on this reality. Today, we should not forget that in Iran there is a person with a messianic vision of history, the same vision than the one that this young religious person I met in Jerusalem 25 years ago. But he wants to speed up the arrival of this Messiah. And he thinks that the nuclear way would be the right track to follow. Today, the same country, Iran, was elected in the United States in a committee aiming at taking care of the situation of the women. Libya had also been appointed chair of the Committee of the Human Rights. So this is something which is frequent, maybe too frequent amongst our governments. And we are there just to indicate that the values that we share, our common values, are in danger and that we have to fight to preserve them. Thank you.